All right, Genesis 19. And there came two angels to Sodom at even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. So here, clearly, the two men at the end of chapter 18 are now called two angels. So I don't know why people have an issue with calling, angels look like men. They'll go to the visions in Ezekiel and say, oh no, they have wings. Well, cherubim are described as having wings, but that's a vision. But anyway, we'll stay here. Verse 2, and he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet. And ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. Why do they want to do that? Well, they want to witness the wickedness. Now see what the angels know that Lot doesn't know. We're able to protect ourselves. They're going to demonstrate that a little bit later. So the angels aren't in any danger, but I don't think Lot understands that.
Yeah, but so much wickedness going on that Lot was probably scared of them being robbed or killed.
Well, right. He thinks they're going to be, homosexual, sodomized. And so he fears for their safety. But what he probably doesn't understand is, well, angels can just plain disappear if they want. They can also call down fire from heaven, and we're going to see what they end up doing.
Well, obviously, Lot thought they were men like he was. Lot knew that there were angels at that point.
I don't know what he thinks they are, but he's certainly respecting them. He calls them my lords, but we'll see. He's doing, what he thinks is right, and that's okay. Verse 3, and he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. And before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, and all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, where are the men that came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And of course, when you say know in the Bible, Adam knew his wife Eve. It's a sexual thing. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. Now, I'm not sure why he goes out. These guys are in a frenzy. I think Lot's in danger.
They want to break them.
Yeah.
Break them.
So he shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now this to me is really pathetic. Behold now, I have two daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. And only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Now what I find odd is these daughters have not known a man living in the wicked city. So evidently there's some type of structure in government where these two haven't been, married or molested or whatever term you want to give. All right, so he mentions two daughters that are unmarried. Okay. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. Now let me pause before I go in. What's one of the things that Jesus is doing in his ministry and gives his disciples power to do? Heal blindness. Okay, they can raise the dead, they can cast out devils. They heal the dumb, the deaf and dumb, the blind. So Jesus gives power and authority to heal blindness. He also gives, or you can say God gives power and authority to strike with blindness. These angels are doing kind of the reverse of what Jesus is doing. Now you can also say the people that were possessed with devils became blind, couldn't speak. So the devils have similar power to blind. So anyway, they strike them with blindness in order to get them to, get away from the house. They're going to be freaking out now. I can't see. All right. Verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou there any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters. So, how many daughters are married?
3.
Well, don't know that. At least 2. It says sons-in-law married to his daughters. So there's at least 2. We don't know how many. So there's 2 daughters with 2 husbands. That's 4 people, right? He has 2 daughters that aren't married, right? He said, send these 2 girls out that haven't known a man. So there's 6 people right there. All right? And said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. So Lot and his wife make 8, and I think there were sons. So he said, Hast thou any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters? So he evidently has at least 2 sons. So there's at least 10 people living in Lot's house. And that's why Abraham feels, I got down to 10, God's not going to destroy them.
It's talking about sons-in-law?
It says, is there any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters? So there's 2 sons-in-laws married to 2 daughters, that's 4. At least 2 sons, that's 6. 2 daughters that aren't married, that's 8. And Lot and his wife, that's 10. So that's why Abraham argues down to 10, and God stops at 10. But God knows there aren't 10 saved people, righteous. Because look at the choices that some of them make. They chose to stay. So he said, And when morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wives and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters. And the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth, and set him without the city. So these 4 people flee. They're a picture of God preserving the righteous, when the judgment comes. And it came to pass, when they brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. So Jesus says, when the tribulation comes and a certain event happens, flee Jerusalem and don't look back. And he gives the example of Lot as he references that, because what's Lot's wife going to do?
What she's going to do?
Yeah. Well, we'll find out here in a minute.
Okay.
And Lot said unto them, O not so, my Lord, behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shown unto me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live there. So this is, again, kind of foolish. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was Zoar. So the angels say, we can't destroy the city while you're here. So it didn't matter what Abraham had argued down to. The angels have instruction to get the righteous out. Okay? And so the city that escapes judgment is called Zoar, because that's where Lot fled to. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. So, is Lot's wife saved?
I don't know.
I'll say yes, but she doesn't endure to the end. She loses her life, not her salvation. And you got the same problem in the tribulation. Jesus says, if you endure to the end, you'll enter into the kingdom. If you don't endure to the end, you're going to lose your life. But those people that are saved will still be resurrected into the kingdom. But they won't go in alive. And the people want to go in alive. Do you want to go up in the rapture alive, or do you want to be resurrected? I want to go up in the rapture alive, right? Well, what happens if you die first? Well, you'll still be resurrected, right? So it's the same with them. If they die before getting into the kingdom, they'll still be raised into it. But everybody wants to live into the kingdom.
But your body dies, but you got a spirit and a soul that continues to live, doesn't it?
Well, your soul goes to heaven, your spirit returns to God, and your body remains dead. But in the resurrection, your soul will join with your body, and I expect you'll get the spirit back, and you'll be, a whole person again.
Then your personality really is in the soul.
Yes?
You'll still be in heaven.
Right. That's not my point. My point is everybody wants to be raptured without dying, right?
Right.
Everybody, and the Jews, they all want to go into the kingdom without dying. But if you do die, you're still going. Okay? So, Lot's wife is a picture of someone who didn't endure to the end. She's still saved because God spared her. Spared her of the judgment. Now, she still died because she disobeyed. But she wasn't judged with the wicked. You can say she died, out of disobedience. You say, well, she still died, right? Yeah, but I don't think you can lose your salvation even in Israel's program. It's just, she didn't.
The Bible never says dies. It says put to sleep.
Well, it says she was turned into a pillar of salt. So you think she died? I think she died. There are plenty of scriptures that say people died. Now, there are also a few verses that describe it as sleep. Because the Bible wants us to understand death to us is but sleep for the body. Not for the soul. Your soul doesn't sleep. Your soul's still awake. Right? Your body sleeps, and it will awake out of the sleep in the resurrection. Now, that can be a long period of time. But the soul doesn't sleep at all in death. That expression is used for the body. All right. It never describes the wicked as sleeping. All right. All right. Verse 30. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. So Zoar gets spared because Lot fled there, but then Lot flees thinking, well, I'm not so sure that Zoar's safe. Let's get out of here. And I'm not sure that Zoar is destroyed. We'll see. Verse 31, and the firstborn said unto the younger, this is the 2 daughters, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. And my comment is, well, where are you getting that from? God didn't destroy the whole earth. He destroyed the cities of the plain. You can go somewhere else and find a husband. But here, again, people thinking in their own wisdom, I need to take action. I'm not relying on God. And so you're going to have, again, trouble come out of this choice. We'll see what it turns out to be. So verse 32, come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. So to me, this harkens back to Noah. Noah gets drunk, and some bad things happen while he's drunk. So Lot gets drunk here through his own daughter's doing, and then some undesirable things happen. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both daughters of Lot with child by their father. Now that's amazing that one night each, and they both get pregnant. Back-to-back nights. It's like, wow, you got people today working for months to have a child, and they can't. And these two nail it on the one night.
Well, that was the decision of the Lord. Because God doesn't allow incest, does he? I mean, fornication, incest, or...
There's no commandment given yet. It will come when Israel's a nation.
Oh, okay. Then that was kind of like...
But you're not to have a sexual relation with a parent. See, back with Adam and Eve, and back in the time of Noah, brothers and sisters have to marry one another. There's nobody else. Okay? But you're not to have a relationship with your parent. And it might get a little confusing because people could have children at such an old age. It could be that someone that's your age is really your uncle. Because I was born late. My parents had 20 children. And by the time I'm born and an adult, my parents, say brother, has had children, long ago, and someone could really be your age, but a generation off. So I didn't explain that right.
Had 20 children?
No, I'm saying in the Bible, people could have many children, could have 20 children or so, and because you're having that many, the last child and the first child are a generation apart, age-wise, right? So you could have it could be your uncle has had a child late. Anyway, I don't want to try to explain it all. You could be marrying someone that's your age, but the generation thing is, there's such a difference. So, but nonetheless, you're not to have a relationship with your parents. So this is definitely wrong. And later you're going to get a commandment not to marry, in the immediate family. You shouldn't marry a brother or sister, because there's a lot of people to choose from in the time that Israel's a nation. But right here, they still have some other choices. Lot can go back and find Abraham, and there's some people in Abraham's family. And they seem to have forgotten that Abraham's just over yonder, so to speak. Let's go find him. But here, they're thinking in their own wisdom. They think God's destroyed everything, I guess. All right, so thus were both daughters of Lot with child by their father, and the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab, the same as the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ammi, and the same as the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So the Moabites and the Ammonites are relatives or brethren to Israel, meaning the nation. But they have a lot of conflict with them. Just like Israel has a lot of problems with the Edomites. Those are descendants of Esau. They have a lot of problem with the Ishmaelites. But all these people are supposed to be brethren. They're all supposed to say, well, we're related to Abraham, or maybe Abraham's father, because Lot isn't descended from Abraham. He's a nephew. And so, again, you're going to have problems with Israel's neighbors, and these two are the Moabites and the Ammonites. And what God's going to say is, you can't wipe them out. They're relatives of yours. If they weren't relatives of yours, wipe them out. But because they're relatives of yours, you can't kill them. But wait, God, they're bothering us. I know, I'll get them eventually. So the problem is they have these peoples that are related, and God won't let Israel wipe them out. But they're not doing kindness in return. The Ammonites and the Moabites are fighting against Israel. And in fact, Israel has to defend themselves. But again, this wasn't God's plan. And I'll just say, well, Lot hasn't been righteous enough. His children don't understand who his God is. All right, that's the end of chapter 9.